Runners, welcome to the 2021 TCS New York City Marathon course strategy. We're live here to go over the course mile by mile so you are prepared for your 5-borough tour of New York City tomorrow morning. That means we are less than a day away, and I'm here joined by Coach Ben. Thanks for joining me today.
Less than a day away. It's crazy to think we were Wednesday, even like a year ago, we were ever going to get back to the stage, and we are a scant 24 hours, folks.
At this time tomorrow, it is what, noon? Everyone will be probably moving by this point. The last wave is starting right now in 24 hours. So we are in the last phase of all your planning. Now, we can't change your training. We can't change too much, but coming into the race a little more prepared can help you feel confident at the start line, which mentally can help you actually have a better race. So we're going to break down the course, like I said, mile by mile. Now, we also want to know where you're watching from. So a lot of you, hopefully in New York City. Where in New York, though? You know, you're in Hell's Kitchen, or you're in Brooklyn. Where are you watching from specifically if you're in New York? Maybe the Javits Center. That'd be cool. And also, any training questions about the course, put those in the chat as well. Now, we're going to go over the start all the way to the finish, so we'll get to those points along the course. If you miss anything, you can put those in the chat as well, but we're going to take it mile by mile. Before we get to the course, Coach Ben, now we have 3 big takeaways we always tell our runners on race day. Let's break those down to the runners. So nothing new on race day is the biggest thing. Talk about that for the runners.
Yeah, nothing new on race day. This is the key. You've trained so much, so hard to get to this point. The last thing you want to do is go out tonight for that last dinner and go like, you know what, I've always wanted to try this new falafel or sushi or a different restaurant. No. Now is not the time. Next week is your buffet chance to try everything and anything that you want to do. Any food you're putting in your body this way, and today should be something you're very familiar with, preferably bland, easily digestible, because that's the onboard fuel that you're going to begin to use for tomorrow for your race. The same thing can go for your clothes. I'm sure a lot of you have been at the expo, the New Balance collection, the Finishers collection, the Marathon collections are phenomenal. I've seen the shoes, I've seen the shirts, the jackets, a lot of people carrying around those bags. Buy that gear, keep it in the bag until you cross the finish line tomorrow. That's the gear you want to show off along with your bling all over New York after you've run your 26.2 miles. So again, keep those clothes in the bag. You know what works for you. You've trained in it. You're all ready to go. Keep those clothes that are you're most comfortable with closest to your body along with that bib. Everything else can go on top of that because it will be a little bit brisk tomorrow morning when you're out there at Fort Wadsworth getting ready. You can just peel those layers off. So again, nothing new on race day.
So you haven't ate it, drank it, smelled it, thought about it, dreamed about it, friends gave it to you, do not use it. Number 2, guys, is do not race before the race. So guys, there are 35,000 runners making their way to a tiny section on a tiny island in New York City in Staten Island. Give yourself extra time to get where you need to go. Now, as locals for New York City, we know how crowded and busy and sometimes delayed the subway is. We know sometimes hailing a cab or an Uber in New York City in the morning is hard to do. Also, you're taking a bus with a lot of people. So give yourself extra time to do those. If it's going to take you a half hour to do something, give yourself an extra 15, 30 minutes just to get to where you're going. We would rather have you at the start line in the start village, hanging out, relaxing, nice and warm like Ben said earlier, than panicking and sprinting the start line. Because guess what? You get 1 medal, and that medal is for 26.2 miles. Any distance you run beforehand, we're not counting that. That's not even a warm-up. It's too soon. So enjoy that. Take your time in getting to the race and get to your bus, get to your ferry, get to the start line nice and early so you are hanging out in the crowds. I tell runners, it's really not too early to get to the crowds. I'd rather you there. If you're there 3 hours early, that's okay. It's better than being 10 minutes late and you missing your wave, Coach Ben.
Yeah, definitely. That's the worst thing when you show up and your wave has your crowd's closed. Now you're like, now you have to wait 40 more minutes for the next one. If you just caught the ferry you're supposed to be on, planned a little bit better. To be in your transportation to get there on Fort Wadsworth. Bring a book, bring some extra clothes, bring something to sit on. There's a lot of people out there. You may make a new friend, maybe someone who lives in your neighborhood, maybe someone who doesn't, that may be running your pace, and you'll have someone to connect with as you make your 26.2 mile journey across. But more importantly, after you've done that, you have nothing new on race day. You have not, you've given yourself time to get to the fort, find some area, not racing before the race. Last but not least, you do not want to go out too fast. You want to hold in, harness that energy. One of the great things about New York is that we don't give you a start gun to start off. We give you a start cannon. And Frank Sinatra will sing you out of the start line as you cross the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. And that first mile is the highest point of our race. You won't even know it. It's going to feel pancake flat. You have all of your friends around you, new friends, maybe old friends. guiding you along the way. If you're running with our pace team, the pace team will be out there as well. You'll be following them along. They will help you stay in control. Don't worry about bobbing and weaving. As Steve said, it is a 26.2 mile race. No need to add any extra miles along your journey. So take it easy. Do not go out too fast. Nothing new on race day. Don't race before the race. But most importantly, there are some new safety precautions that we do want to point out as we get going. So Steve, let's walk the runners through some of what they got to be watching out for.
Guys, the big changes you're going to experience are going to be at the start and at the finish line. So as you see, have you been to the expo, you've seen a lot of the changes we're doing. So vaccination requirements, if you're entering any inside place such as the Javits Center, we're asking you to wear face coverings throughout the week. I'll go into that a little bit. We're also limiting touch points, so variously throughout the race. We're going to be limiting what we're encountering, how we're touching things, making sure safety procedures are in place. We're also density reduction. You guys know this. We usually have about 50,000 people out there on race day. This year, 35,000 people. The really good thing about that, though, is we still have bathrooms for 50,000 people. So those washrooms ahead of time in those crowds, the line should be a lot shorter. Also, water along the course. There'll be ample water along the streets, so you can obviously get a cup nice and easy this year. Make sure sanitations are placed, as you saw at the expo. A lot of sanitations throughout the expo and also race day. And then pre-check bag. We're not taking any bags from the start to the finish line. Those runners selected those options to check their bag today and yesterday, so I hope you guys have done that as well. Like I said before, guys, face coverings are required at various places throughout the week. As you see, one check mark on the right-hand side is not there. The only place that you do not need to wear a face covering, if you choose to not wear it, is on the course. So when you start running, feel free to take it off. I recommend hanging on to that mask, though, if possible. Put it on your arm, put it in your pocket, because if it does get crowded along the course, you feel like you may need it, you can pop it on. But at the finish line, we will give you a brand new one, so you can wear that mask at the finish line we give you, or the one you have and you kept with you the whole time. And like I said, face coverings will be required also on public transportations, in the start village, on the bus if you're taking the bus, on the ferry if you're taking the ferry, anywhere you go. If you haven't been to the expo yet, face coverings will be required at the expo. So keep that in mind as you plan out your week, Coach Ben.
Definitely, you don't want to forget that. So, again, this is all about racing before the race. Have these things dialed in, understand what you need to do. That way, when you get to your transportation, everything is done. Most importantly, you want to make sure that you have your post-race, have where you're going to meet your friends and family out there, because I'm sure some of you out there will have your cell phones. Again, it's a good way to kind of pass the time when you're on Fort Wadsworth. But again, the cell phone saturation when you are down will be difficult as you cross the finish line, because not only are there 35,000 of you, it takes a village for someone to train for a marathon. Hopefully you brought some of that village along with you to cheer you on to be at the finish line. So again, the race before the race, make sure you have all of that stuff dialed in. Again, you'll get your recovery bag, you'll have the mask in there, so don't worry about that. You'll get everything else, but sit back, relax, take it all in. We're here to guide you through. Now we're in the village now.
We're in the village, guys. So as Ben said, Frank Sinatra is going to lead you along the course. You have a cannon that starts your 2021 TCS New York City Marathon. And those who are not from New York City, this is your first 2 miles of the course. It is the Verrazano Bridge. Most of you will be on the top, some of you on the bottom. It doesn't matter where you're starting. It's all a great view. It's all a great course, guys. Throughout the first 8 miles, you guys will be running different courses. So orange, green, and blue will be running different courses at the first few miles. But it's okay. Everyone comes out, like we said before, 26.2 miles. But Ben said earlier, do not go out too fast. Now, the first mile of this course, as Ben said, is your biggest climb. Let me just highlight that quickly for you guys. This is the biggest climb you're doing through the whole race. But the really good thing is you're not going to really notice it. You're tapered, you're excited, you had great nutrition, so you have carbs ready to go. The crowd around you is going to propel you. You're not going to notice that first hill, but you might notice the downhill. Now, what happens a lot of times in this race is people will look at the watch. They have the goal time of a 9 minute per mile, and they will look at the watch, start panicking early on because they're boxed in. They're maybe at a 9:30, 9:45, maybe even 10 minutes. They're a minute slower than they want to be those first few miles. They'll panic. They'll start sprinting. They'll start weaving around people, and look at that. They'll look at the watch later, and they're ahead of where the mile markers are. They're adding miles on. They're panicking, which also takes energy away from your body. So my recommendation, hold back any sort of panicking you need. You don't need to panic. Take it in. Enjoy the sights. Look to your left. As you go across the Verrazano Bridge, you're going to see the skyline, which is a lot of cool sights. On the right-hand side, you might see some water cannons, some boats, but it's a really cool view to your right as well. Enjoy it. Stay behind some people. If you are running with our NYRR pace team, they're a great way to kind of slow you down. Ben's got the sign right here. There'll be men and women, the best in New York City, that are part of our pace teams. They'll be running even efforts out there, and that's important because going up Verrazano and up every bridge in this course, they might be running kind of slow. So that 9:43 might actually be a 9:50, 9:55, and going down, it might be a little quicker to make up that time. Like I said, they're running even efforts. I use pace teams to kind of slow me down, so I don't go out too fast and start panicking. They put the brakes on me, and then you'll be entering Brooklyn, Coach Ben.
Entering Brooklyn, Coach Steve's favorite borough of the race, but again, that pace team will keep you in check, keep you in control, because from mile 3, you'll be entering onto 4th Avenue, and then before you know it, you'll be cruising along 4th Avenue, heading out to mile 8. But this is really where you want to kind of get your legs beneath you. You've come off an uphill, you come off a downhill, it flattens out. This is where you're kind of shaking the legs off, kind of waking up a bit. You've been sitting down for a little while, you're on for a while's worth. The body is beginning to warm up. Maybe you've shed a layer or 2 if you've kept it on at this point. So now, you're just kind of settling in. This should feel like a long run at this point. Nothing difficult. It's a pretty flat part of the course. It's a wide part of the course. Brooklyn does come out to give you a lot of love. Take it all in, but again, relax, bring it in. This is where you're starting to put in your fueling strategy. Again, the fueling stations that will be on the course, if you're running with the pace team, they will point these out to you. But we want to make sure that we point out a very important piece. Again, in terms of the density, trying to space people out, trying to making sure that we have a nice space between the runners. At miles 5, 7, and 9, there will not be water or Gatorade stations for this year. So again, as you come through mile 4, think about how you are, think about how you're feeling. The weather tomorrow really looks fantastic, it looks spot on. It should be nice and cool, nice and brisk, so you won't be sweating a ton at this point. But again, you want to keep that energy level, that fuel source topped off. You want to make sure that as you get later in your race, you've done all the smart things. So as you come through mile 4, maybe grab a quick splash of water if you need that, a little bit of Gatorade if that's a sport drink of your choice. Gatorade will be first, water will be second at all of the 8 stations. That way as you get to 4, to 6, to 8, you can grab what you need, because 5, 7, and 9 will not be there. But more importantly, Steve, at mile 8, what is going to happen?
Yeah, that's where all courses come together. So a lot of times in the past, it has been kind of crowded here. So keep that in mind. Less runners, maybe not, but in my experience, it always has been a little crowded there. So just keep an eye on it as you come to 7.5. Like, what did Steve say about Coach Mile 8? It's Brooklyn Academy music. You'll see it over there. In Brooklyn, keep in mind, there's 3 different courses. If you are in orange or blue and your family is cheering for you in that part of the course, have them go to the west side of the street. On this map, kind of the top part of it. And if you're in green, have them go to the east side of the street. If you're on the wrong side of the road, they can kind of take the subway entrance and go kind of under the street to get to the other side. But keep that in mind. Going to mile 8, like Ben said, this is where 3 courses become one at Brooklyn Academy Music. Sometimes it gets a little crowded there. Keep that in mind. And this is 4th Avenue, guys. The race is on here. It's a lot of fun. You can see just how many people there, how wide it is. And you can kind of see our volunteers out here from previous years giving out that water in the green jackets. Yeah. The tables, guys, if you've never ran the TCS New York City Marathon, the water and hydration tables are super long, about a block wide. And what we're asking you to do, avoid the first tables. Go to the latter tables, like Ben said, Gatorade first, water section second. They will be labeled properly, so you'll know where you're going at every. They're all the same, but go to the latter tables. It'll be less crowded, less chance of running into people, and just give you less space out there as you make your way through Brooklyn. You're going to get through mile 8, and keep in mind, going through Brooklyn, especially between 8 and 13, it is a block party, guys. Oh, yeah. You're going through Williamsburg. You're going through, Clinton Hill, Greenpoint. They come out to celebrate and cheer for you. So it sometimes does get narrow just because the crowd's so excited that they come in and cheer for you. Enjoy it, embrace it, hold back still, because we're going to get to why you shouldn't hold back, why you should hold back later on. But hold back. You're going to come in next borough, number 3 in Queens, Ben. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, because you're coming up on the 13.1. From a distance standpoint, this is the halfway point, but from a physiological standpoint, that's still coming down the road. This is 13.1. You should still be feeling good. Welcome to the Pulaski Bridge as you exit Brooklyn and you head into Long Island City and the borough of Queens. This is an important part of the race, but again, you should still be coming through. A couple of notes on this picture. The very front, you do see our NYRR pace team guiding you along. They are your tour guides. Enjoy the road. When you come up on those water stations, like Steve and I talked about earlier, they will point those out where those are. Another great tip we had this morning from Trackster Tessa that was here from New Balance is when you make eye contact with the water stations, point to the person you're going for the water. Point at them. That way they know you're coming for it. Hopefully someone doesn't slide it in front of you and grab your water. But that's a great way to ensure that you do get the water that you want. But as you cross the Pulaski Bridge, you will have this amazing view of Midtown Manhattan. There is the Empire State Building. You want to feel just like that guy around the run halfway, smiling, feeling good. Or maybe you may feel like the guy in front of him making the last-minute text, or maybe checking that work email. But realistically, shove that phone in your pocket. Enjoy the views. Take the time out there because you're at 13.1. everything about your race. It should be dialed in at this point. You should just be rolling right along. At this point, it should have felt like a long run, even though your pace is probably in where you want to be. But all the long runs that you've done, all the training, it's kind of how you want to feel. You've hit 13 miles. You've probably done that in your training. The fueling's going good. Welcome to Queens. And I mean, this is a great part of the race, but again, keep everything in check because you still have 13.1 miles to go.
That's right. And before we get on to the next 13 miles of the course, we want to hear from you guys. Let's hear shout-outs and questions. We're going to start with the shout-outs. So we got Sue from Long Island. We were just entering about the Long Island area, which is great. So thanks for joining us. We got Claudia from Union City, New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey. Thank you for joining us. Jessica, Staten Islander in the house. I love Staten Islanders. Thanks for joining us today. We have Sean, hello from the start.
Already there?
Staten
Talk about
Island.
not racing before the race.
Sean is there. He's got a sleeping bag ready to go. Thank you, Sean. John says, what's up from downtown Manhattan? Not far from us, John. And then we got some questions. Ben, I'll toss this first one to you. Pedro says,
okay.
I'm worried I'll be cold if I only wear one layer. Do you think it's okay to wear a long sleeve t-shirt with a long sleeve sweatshirt for the entire race? Where should I put my bib? You touched on this earlier, so let's talk about a little bit more layering and throughout the race.
Very good question, Pedro. Because again, you are going to be, it will be chilly out there at the fort tomorrow morning when you start. So the key is going to be having some layers just for when you're there, sitting down and waiting. If you brought some extra clothes that you like to give to our partner Goodwill, there'll be bins out there. If not, maybe look for a Modell's here in the city. Find some cheap, inexpensive sweatpants, a sweatshirt that you may want to throw over, because when you're sitting there at the fort waiting for your start, you may be there for an hour and a half or so. You don't want to be shivering and being chilled. And then as you get in your corrals and they break the corrals down and you walk to the start line, that's when you begin to peel off some of those heavier outer layers that you don't want to run with. Now you asked about keeping a long sleeve and a short sleeve on and where you should have your bib. Your bib should always be attached to your innermost layer that you're going to wear. Why is that important? Because if you take a shirt off that has your bib on it, now you're like, well, what do I do with this shirt? I have to unpin my bib and repin it to a new layer. So if you have a long sleeve on and you have like a short sleeve or a singlet, pin that bib to that short sleeve or the singlet, which is nearest to your body. That way, if you have the long sleeve on, if you choose to keep it on as you start the race, it's not a bad idea. You will warm up, and you may be a bit chilled those first 3 or 4 miles. But as you warm up, you want to get rid of that long sleeve or the extra layer that you have. You simply can just take it off, tie it around your waist. If you think you may need it for later in the race, if you don't need it, feel free to discard it on the side of the road when you're there. But it's always good to have some layers on, especially if you haven't trained or not used to the winter. It's kind of brisk this morning. You ran the 5K this morning, Steve, so you kind of felt some of the chill in the air.
It was chilly. I had a long sleeve shirt on and shorts, but if I was running the marathon in that weather, which is going to be similar tomorrow, it would definitely be shorts and t-shirts. But it's all dependent on what you're used to and what you're used to training in. But great question, Pedro. Hopefully that helped. Next we have Geraldine. Sorry about that. I'm still learning to read. What is the reason hydration vests are not allowed on race day? Really good question, Geraldine. So those who are not familiar with hydration vests are the ones like on backpack. They have the water, Camelback has been a big brand. So Geraldine, the reason Camelbacks are not allowed, we've actually banned them, and I think all the majors have banned them, and a lot of small town, I know Philly doesn't allow them, is after the bombings in Boston many years ago. So also NYPD will screen everyone before they enter the start village, and it's really hard just to see what's inside those, and since we're trying to get as many people in as fast as possible, we want to flow to go quickly so we can't individually inspect all of those Camelbacks. We know most of you guys just have water in them, but once again, we're not taking the chances with what happened in Boston. So once again, a lot of races, it's a common practice within any major race right now to not have anything that's hard to see in throughout the race. So not allowed this year, but you can bring your own hydration water bottle or any waist pack, and they are selling waist packs at the expo, at the Jackrabbit booth, which I saw today. So pick those up. But like I said, we'll also have water throughout the course for you every mile between 3 and 25, besides mile 5, 7, and 9. So good luck, Geraldine. Next, Ben Nicholas asks, I'm coming from New Jersey. The bus, every New Jersey I give a shout out to, by the way. I don't know where you're in New Jersey, but I can give a shout out. The bus leaves from 5 to 6 a.m., and my wave is at 11:20 a.m. Is it better to have someone drop me close to the Verrazano around 8 to 9 so I don't have to stand in the cold for 5 hours? What do you say for Nicholas?
Okay, well, first of all, if your bus leaves between 5 and 6, you're not going to be at Fort Wadsworth that quickly. It'll probably take you a good hour. If you're coming from MetLife, stadium over in New Jersey. It'll take you probably about an hour or so to drive over. And then once you even get into the fort from there, you have to pass through NYPD security. There'll be plenty of buses coming off, so that may take you anywhere from 20 minutes or so to a half hour. So again, right there, it's an hour and a half. So let's say your bus leaves at, at 6, it's 7:30, 8, even before you get into the fort. I'm thinking to myself, 3 hours. Trust me, as Steve has alluded to earlier, that time will pass quickly. There will be an announcement for when your corral's open. It's usually about an hour or so before the wave starts, maybe a little bit less, depending as those waves get tighter and tighter through the start times. But you'll be in your corral before you know it. Plus, having more time on there, you're not racing around, having to shuffle, figure out what you're doing stuff. You're able to get into Fort Wadsworth, find the restroom. If you need to find something to eat, Duncan will be out there with coffee, bananas, and bagels. Again, you want to give yourself time, trying to get someone to drop you off near the Verrazano Narrows Bridge at 8 or 9. The bridge will be closed by that point. Our pro wheelchair athletes and our athletes with disabilities, they start their race between 8 and 8:30. The elite women go off at 8:40. So we actually have to get that bridge closed to turn that around, to get it all secure, to get all of our runners, including yourself, over safely across that bridge into Brooklyn. So trying to get yourself close to the Verrazano Narrows Bridge is going to be about the same time, if not earlier, than actually taking your designed transportation or designated transportation that you have. Stick with it, get to the fort, sit back, relax, find a moment of zen, enjoy it, because you don't want to waste any of that valuable energy.
Thank you, man. I'm not sure he said close to the Verrazano Bridge. If you're expected to walk across the bridge, you cannot walk across the bridge. If you get dropped off there, you must take a vehicle, and usually it's with private buses. The NYRR buses have priority over anyone getting to the start line, so keep that in mind. Next question we have from Alyssa. How early should you get to your bus in the morning? 20 minutes early, 45 minutes early? I hear lines are long. Alyssa, great question. This also applies to the runner before from Jersey. So, the lines are long, but there are many buses. 5-10 minutes early, you wait in line with everyone else. It's a lot of fun. Talk to the person in front of you, talk behind you. You'll be nice and warm. Once again, hand warmers, hats, gloves, sweatpants. You don't need to be super early to that. Once again, plan early for the commuting aspect to get there. Now, if you're walking there, you don't need much time because it's not far, depending on where your hotel is. But if you're taking the subway, make sure your MTA card has money on it beforehand. If you're taking Uber, make sure it's in your app ready to go, and you typed it in your public library, you know where you're going. But you don't have to be to the bus super early. There are lines. 35,000 people are doing what you're doing. It takes a while to get there. So just enjoy it. Enjoy the experience. Take photos in line. It's a lot of fun. You're going to look back on this in 5 years and say that was a great race. And it all starts tomorrow morning, Coach Ben. Next we have coming in from Shipa. Will there be any pre-race guided stretches at the start line?
I do not believe we'll have anybody out there doing specific stuff, any kind of guides. I mean, there are all kinds of things at the fort, including prayer type
religious services
will be out there. But in terms of will someone be leading a stretch or a yoga class? And not really. Again, we want you to be sitting down and kind of relaxing. If you are someone who does like to do a pre-stretch routine, there'll be plenty of space. Again, we're probably 20,000 runners less than we have in years past, so you're in the same area, so there'll be plenty of space to find an area to kind of get yourself stretched out, maybe do a light warm-up before you get in the corral. Even in the corral, there will be space, more space than in years past, so you'll be able to find an area to kind of get maybe a short or a quick dynamic stretch to kind of get the blood flowing a little bit. But again, don't worry about it too much. You've got 26.2 miles. You want to save all the energy that you have. But there'll be plenty of space out there on some of the roads, some of the grass areas to stretch out a little bit, maybe get a little bit of a jog, but try to save all that energy, please, because you're going to want it for 26.2 miles, getting through the 5 boroughs, and getting back into Manhattan. But I think we're going to jump back into the course strategy.
Yeah. No, we got a few more questions coming in.
Few more questions. Jumping the gun, going too fast.
Right.
Sorry.
Cesar, does anyone use salt pills? I ran Spartan races and took salt pills to avoid cramping. Any comments? Cesar, I used them once. I ran a race that was 80
miles? You ran an 80-mile race, Steve?
80 degrees.
Oh, 80 degrees, okay.
It's been a long 2 days, yeah. 80 degrees, I need, it's going to just extra salt out there, extra fluids. I didn't train with them beforehand. Did they help my race? I'm not sure. But they're also something that doesn't usually affect people in a negative way. You'll just, sweat it out if you don't. People know of also their heavy salt sweaters. You'll see it after your long runs. You have like the white streaks along your body and your shirt, kind of white and salty. But you can take them as well. Again, they some have go in like a pill in water. Some people, I took the salt packets from like McDonald's and just down those. But you can definitely use them along the course. Every aid station, just put in your cup of water and you can do it well. They work really great if you're used to them. But I would say nothing on race day. But salt tablets don't affect two people in a negative way. It's usually just extra salt that is also in Gatorades, which will be on the course, and also your gels that are on the course as well. Next question, we have Aubrey Ben. Will there be comfort dogs this year? Oh, I love that.
Are there comfort
There are
dogs,
not
John?
this year.
Oh,
No,
there's
no
no
comfort
puppies?
dogs. If those who are unfamiliar, in the past we've had therapeutic dogs. I think in the green wave or green Start
Yeah,
Village. This year, once again, we don't want people close together at the Start Village petting. You know, we all love dogs, but we've taken those out once again just as one of those safety precautions of density reduction.
I was hoping to get some dog love.
Yeah, I know. I always try to make my way over there. Let's start with Jeffrey before we keep going here. Jeffrey says, if my start time is 9:10, what time does my corral close, Coach Ben?
About a half hour before, I believe, John. It's about 8:30.
8:45.
8:45, even better. Yeah, so and that's all be announced. You know, they'll announce when the corrals open, and they will make a clear announcement when the corrals close. Steve and I are working with our pace team. We hear those corrals open. We tell our pacers, put down the food, get out of the heated tent, and get into the corrals because they're having way too much fun out there in the pacer tent. But yeah, there are plenty of announcements out there. But make sure you give yourself time. Again, it all goes back to not racing before the race. That you're in your corral area, you're in your wave area, sitting down, relaxing. Because again, you don't want to be running around listening for stuff. But there will be announcements. I believe also in I think there's a book you could have gotten at the expo that has some information in there.
Yep.
I don't know if that's on the app or not. There's a plug to download the TCS or New York City Marathon app. If you have not, we'll go about through having your loved ones track you. But there will be announcements at Fort Wadsworth when you're there. No problem hearing those, and they're also in different languages as well. But be out there. Just be close to your corral, be close to your wave, and you'll get in there plenty of time before they wrap that up.
Next question we have, Shippa. If we bring a blanket, does it have to fit in the Start Village bag, or can we carry it? So everything needs to be in that Start Village bag. That bag you got, it's clear. You got it at the expo. You probably your bibs in it. Everything needs to be in that bag to make it through NYPD. We don't want people carrying extra blankets and sleeping bags and hoodies and all that kind of stuff. So put everything in there. Once again, I'm assuming maybe something to lay on or something, anything that's more compactable, depending on how big your blanket is. Put it in that bag, and that'll make it through NYPD at the entrance to the race. Cool. We have Ken, and then we'll take this one, and then back on the course strategy. Just how hilly are the bridges, and where is the hilliest section?
Yeah, I mean, the bridges aren't horrible. Again, but anytime you run a marathon, any kind of incline or decline is never a welcome sight or a wanted sight in this case. And I think in the terms of the TCS New York City Marathon course, some of the areas of our more challenging areas, like we say, the highest point is in mile 1. So that's behind you, that's in the rearview mirror, you're feeling good. You know, but we're going to touch on a couple of the points here as we go through the course strategy. You know, we come up in Queens and the Queensboro Bridge. That is a longer, more steady incline. And then obviously there's a couple more bridges. There's the Willis Avenue Bridge, which is kind of a unique bridge to go through. It's kind of a kicker, but then you're at mile 20, so any kind of incline at that point is going to be more challenging. And then we will touch more upon Fifth Avenue from 110th to 90th. That's 23 to mile 24. Again, not difficult, just misplaced. And if anybody was out there designing their own marathon course, I don't think they would think having an incline at mile 23 would be a good idea. But we will touch more upon that in a second, so stay tuned for some more info on those areas.
Let's get back to our course strategy, Coach Ben. Thank you guys for the questions. If you have more questions, maybe we didn't get to you, we'll get to it later, but put those questions and where you're watching from in the comment section. We're going to go into as our next borough, which is Manhattan, and that's mile 16. Ben just touched on it. It is probably one of the harder climbs in the race. Now, there's also only hard if you have not paced yourself properly. If you've looked at your pacing, if you've gone out nice and easy, like Ben was saying, the Pulaski Bridge is nice and conservative early on. You've stayed with our NYRR pace team to hold you back a little bit. You shouldn't be breathing too hard this time. It is still conversational pace, guys. But people I find who have ran the marathon course before, they either love the Queensboro Bridge or they hate the Queensboro Bridge. Now, I also find that they love the Queensboro Bridge and they hate it for the same reasons. It is quiet, it is dark, it is sometimes ominous because there's no one cheering for you. And once again, some people love that. They thrive on the soloness for the first time in the whole race. They take check of their body. They say, how am I doing? They go slower up the hills. You're not sprinting up the hills, and then they take the downhill nice and fast. But once again, if you don't like it because there's no one cheering for you, it is quiet, it is dark. But this is what you're going to be running on tomorrow, on Sunday. We will actually be on the lower level of the bridge this time. So if you ran in the Green Village, the Green Wave, I'm sorry. Our screen is not working for the second time. There, it was gone. There we go. If you ran the Green Star, you'll be in the lower part, so you're used to running in the lower level. But this is where you'll be running. Look left, look right. It is a really cool bridge, a lot of fun. As I said, take stock of how you're feeling at this part of the course to know how to adjust for the latter miles. This is under the bridge. As you see, it is dark. It is kind of quiet. You hear the pitter-patter of runners behind you. Also the calm before the storm. So it's very quiet. But as you make your way through each step, it's going to get louder and louder and louder. It almost sounds like a rumble coming towards you. Just yeah,
I know.
it's get louder and louder and louder. And as you make a huge turn, which is the cars exit, cars usually take Queensboro Bridge, you're going to enter the reason people sign up every single year for the TCS New York Marathon. First Avenue, Ben. Let's just talk about First Avenue.
Welcome to Manhattan. That rumble that Steve was talking about is definitely a rumble. It is not a jungle. You're coming into First Avenue. You see on the bottom of the screen those green ponchos. You've seen those aid stations that are coming through. Your pace team will be guiding you. This is an area of the course where you're mile 16. You got 10 miles to go. You're feeling pretty good. You've entered Manhattan. You've been waiting most of the morning to get here because you know, hey, the race finishes in Manhattan. Well, you still got to go through the Bronx. We'll get there in a second. But welcome to Manhattan. Again, keep it in control. You just come off a nice downhill. The roar here, it is not uncommon to have crowds 6, 7, 8 deep cheering you on. And next thing you know, you look down at your watch and all of a sudden you are under marathon pace and you probably didn't even feel the increase in the effort because you have this shot of adrenaline from all of these people cheering you on. It is not difficult. I found myself even on my own racing coming through here. You look down, you're just going for that 9-minute mile like Steve was talking about. All of a sudden you're 8:15 and you feel like $1 million. You're like, I can hold this until the finish. Hold your horses, because as you see here, it doesn't. You can kind of see on the picture, the street does kind of go up. There is a climb as you make your way from around 60th Street up to 125th Street, where you would jump on the Willis Avenue Bridge. So you've got, you know, a good three and change miles to go through here. Take it easy. The race is not quite on yet. You see right there on the screen, Steve circling that. It is a slight incline, and as you make your way up, the crowds will dissipate a little bit more. When you get up to mile 18, Honey Stinger, our wonderful sponsor, will be up there with gels. They'll also be back at mile 12 before you come across the Pulaski. So again, if you've been training with Honey Stinger, you'll be able to grab some gels. There'll be about 4 different flavors, some non-caffeinated, some caffeinated. Grab one of those on the way. If you haven't been training with those gels, it's okay. Maybe grab one for later on in the race if you need something as we go through on 5th Avenue. We'll touch on some points there. But again, First Avenue, welcome to Manhattan. It's going to feel good. You're going to feel energized. You want to keep that energy going. This is where I used the pace team back in 2018 to really harness myself in, because I've made the mistake before on First Avenue. And man, you get up into mile 20, 21, the Willis Avenue Bridge, and you get a rude awakening, Steve.
You can't win the race on First Avenue, but you can lose it. That's a saying from the elite athletes, but it applies to us. So we're not obviously winning the race, but we're winning our own personal achievements. So watch your pace out there. You're going to go into Willis Avenue, like Ben said, into the Bronx, and this is your 5th borough of the day, if we count, once again, not counting central Manhattan twice. Bronx, now guys, the thing about the Bronx, we used to, when the 5-borough started, we used to just go around a cone, and they're like, we did it. But we've extended our stay in the Bronx, and runners love the Bronx. They also, the fans love us being in the Bronx, and it is an excitement. It is a time where bands and music are out there cheering for you. Spectators, like you see here, charities are out there. Running clubs, you see Dashing Whippets here cheering for their runners, guys. The hard part about the Bronx is it is usually also where our longest long run was. So we went 18 to 21 on average, 22 maybe for those runners. So we're at a part where we're unknown territory for those first-time marathoners. Now, Ben mentioned mile 13 wasn't exactly halfway, Coach Ben. Talk about that a little bit more. What makes this our halfway point?
Yeah, everyone talks about the wall. I mean, this is where, you know, from a physiological standpoint, your body is feeling it. Mile 20, mile 21, as Steve said, this is probably maybe where your longest long run, maybe up to 22. But this is kind of where you've trained your body to get to in terms of your long runs. Obviously, you are trained to go farther than that, and you will go farther than that. But this is kind of where you're feeling it, where you're settling in. This is really where all of those smart decisions, all the decisions you made, smart decisions, whatever you call them, early in your race will come into play here. There's a couple people here in this picture that I think we've all kind of have picked up on the last few days. Gentleman over on the far right in the blue, that's probably someone who maybe didn't quite follow through the idea of not going out too fast. He's walking. Full disclosure, I have had to walk on this bridge before. In 2015, I had a very rough day. I was a gentleman out there. You see the young woman right above the part 2. If you see her, both of her feet are off the ground. She is in good form. She is feeling good. The wall, nah, hurdled it, crushed it. She is feeling fantastic. Her game plan is going to a T, and she's feeling good. And then the guy in the previous spot, whatever he had for his pre-race fuel, whatever he's been doing, I want a lot of what he had.
That's at the cheer station.
I don't care if it's me on race day. I want to be feeling like that guy at mile 20 or 21, because after you exit that, you are on the Madison Avenue Bridge. You are back into Manhattan. And Steve, we have a little area right there in the
Oof,
first part of
yeah,
Fifth Avenue.
so
It's kind of
guys-
a fun one to hit for our runners.
You're gonna, like I said, like Ben said, Madison Avenue is gonna take you back into Manhattan for your final day. So no more bridges, no more boroughs. You are in Manhattan, and you're staying there for the rest of the race. You're gonna see ahead of you as you get off that bridge some trees in front of you. You're gonna see a park. You're gonna say, I made it. I'm in Central Park. I'm so close to the finish line. Guess what? You're not quite there. That is Marcus Garvey Park. I recommend coming back the next day. Spend some time there. It's a really cool place. Look up Marcus Garvey. He is a great person. But you're going to make a right, a left, right around that park and head straight onto Fifth Avenue, so back onto Fifth Avenue. And this is the part of the course after Marcus Garvey Park. Ben did touch upon it. It is probably the hardest part of the New York City Marathon course, and only because of where this is placed. Now, if we went out and ran the last 10 or the last 7 of the marathon course, you would not notice this hill. But once again, mile 22, 23 of the course, it starts at 110th Street. So as you're coming along, you can count the streets. They're going down at this point. So you see 120, 119, 119. You're going to count down. When you get to 120, that is where the hill pretty much starts. It is a gradual hill. It's not a huge incline like the Verrazano or not a huge incline like the Queensboro Bridge. But you see there, it is a little lip, but where it is in the course. So adjust your pacing. When I ran in 2010 for my first time, there was no course strategy at the time. I didn't look at the elevation too much. I knew the hill, but I didn't know this one. I got to that hill, my confidence dropped because I thought my pace was just falling off the wagon. I didn't know I was on a hill. That's kind of a common thing I hear from runners who just don't know that's a hill because you don't really see it like the other ones out there. So keep that in mind. Adjust your pacing. Adjust that effort. The pacers out there will do the same thing. But guess what? After you get past 90th Street, the race is now on, and you're in your last gear, Coach Ben. So break a Central Park down for those runners who might be unfamiliar with it.
I'm going to break it down for you here, folks. Here we go. Yeah, you have entered the last 2.2 miles of the race. You are going to make a right-hand turn off East 90th onto East Drive in Central Park. Typically, you'll hear, if you ever listened to the announcers, you have hit the hills of Central Park. In reality, the hills in Central Park that you're going to be avoiding are in the north end and the west side. You're not doing Harlem Hill. The Three Sisters are the west side hills. And the hills are actually you're going to be going down the hills, which is even better. But yeah, again, anything downhill at this point, cramping could come into play. You're running downhill. If you're coming really hard down those hills, it will be a bit uncomfortable, but you'll be coming in at East 90th on East Drive, be coming behind the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The Met is right there. It's a beautiful view. Going down what is commonly referred to by the local New Yorkers here as Cat Hill. There's a statue of a cat on the hill as you go down. It's about a quarter mile down. You'll be going onto East Drive past 72nd Street. Then you'll be going down the ramp behind Central Park Zoo. And then before you know it, you are in the home stretch. Welcome to Central Park South. Welcome to your final couple of right-hand turns. Welcome to what's hopefully feeling good. But again, it is the home stretch. You've got 25 miles in your legs, Steve. What's going to happen here on Central Park South?
I love Central Park South. You are, like as Ben said, you're in the home stretch, guys. You're going to have some great hotels to your left-hand side. You're going to have crowds on both sides of you cheering for you, almost like First Avenue where it's 3, 4, 5, 6 people deep. It is an amazing part of the course. So straight ahead of you on this image right here, you see Columbus Circle. It's right here. At this part of the course, what I like to do, because I'm at no glycogen left in my body, I'm at my more gear than I thought I ever had. I'm doing something I never thought I could do, whether it's my first marathon or the time or anything like that, or I was walking before, now I'm running again. Put a lasso around that statue, invisible lasso wrap around, and have it pull you in, because you're going to need anything you can do just to keep the legs moving. You don't want to walk at this point. You want to keep the energy going. Even once again, if the goal is finishing the race, put a lasso around that. Have it pull you in, guys, because at this part of the course, you are in the home stretch. You're going to make one more right-hand turn back into Central Park. There is a tiny, and I mean tiny speed bump. It's not even a hill. It is a speed bump. As you get into closer to the finish line, you'll see a sign that says 400 meters. You see the flags on both sides of the street of all the countries represented. And then you're going to cross the finish line. Coach Ben, let's talk about finish line behavior. Let's talk about that.
Hopefully you did this today as we rolled at the video here. And the video, here she goes. Look at that. Look at the arms moving, getting those knees up. But watch the hands right there. That's what you want to do. New for 2021, well, not really, we've always had them. We have timing mats that will get your official time. So the last thing you want to do, everybody wants to have the official time on their own tracking devices, on their watch, on their phone. It's okay. We have timing mats. We got you covered. You want to come through like this, not like this. And if you're looking at my head right now, I apologize. but it happens in this world. Do not have, there's people here on the picture, you'll see them on the right and the left, they have their hands in the air. Yes, they do not care about their Garmin. What they care about is that finish line photo. They want to look good. Heck, you've just run 26.2 miles. Like Steve said, Steve ran across this finish line this morning in the dash of the finish.
So fun.
It is. You see the bleachers on the side, the grandstands, talk about people cheering you on. All the flags are out there. It is going to be a gorgeous day. We have had a late fall. The leaves are changing in Central Park. I've been out there several times this week with our group trainers. The park looks fantastic. Our ops team, our events team has done an amazing job working tirelessly this week to get this finish line ready, prepared to cheer you on. Take it all in. Keep your head up. Soak in the moment, because this is one of those moments that you've worked hard to get here. Maybe it's your first, your fifth, your 10th. I mean, we have someone doing what, their 42nd. We have streakers that have been here for 15 plus years. Again, take it all in. We have people coming back who ran the first marathon back in 1970 coming back. Our first finishers are be out here again. I don't know if any of them are running or not, but again, enjoy this moment. Get those hands up. We got your finish time after you cross the finish line. Then you'll hit start. And more importantly, now welcome to what we affectionately call mile 27, Steve.
Yeah, guys, mile 27 is what happens after you cross the finish line. It's just something a lot of people don't think about or don't even talk about, and we want to spend a few minutes here reviewing some of the guidelines because they have changed from years past. So as you cross that finish line, you will be handed your medal. Put that around your neck as you get it. You'll be a photo taken by Marathon Photo. Enjoy the moment. You're also going to be getting a bag from our partners, HSS. It looks like that. And in that bag, you're going to have some recovery items: Gatorade, water, bananas, apples, pretzels, things like that. You've had gels for brunch. You've had a lot of liquids, so I'm sure solids at this point are not what you're looking for. But I implore you to try, at least get some Gatorade in your system, get some hydro water in your system. As your stomach starts to settle down from bouncing for 26 miles, start taking some solids as soon as you can. You can get more food later in the afternoon. But in that bag is also going to be a face mask. As we said earlier, face masks are required at the finish line, so as soon as you get that bag, pop it on. If you have your one that you've started with, you can wear that as well, but it's just a nice, clean, dry one for you. Everyone will be getting a poncho, just like this gentleman here. So keep that. It can keep you nice and warm. And also, if you did check a bag before the race, so today or yesterday you checked the bag, you will get that at the finish line as well. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is how to find your family and friends, because we did not train for this race by ourselves. We trained with a charity. We spent late nights out there, early mornings out there. They probably cheered for you. They watched you on the app. But how are you going to find them? You can't just say, I'll see you at the finish line, because there's 35,000 runners going to be out there, and also the fans and spectators going to be there. So text messages and calls do not usually go through at the finish line, oversaturation. So make a plan today. Today's the last day you can make those plans. So after this is over, if you're running the race, talk to your husband, your wife, your partner, your girlfriend, boyfriend, family, whoever it is, your friends, and say, after the race, when I finish, I'm going to be at this corner, exactly, 65th and Broadway on the northwest side, or you're going to be inside a restaurant. They're going to be inside a bar, inside the subway station, entrance. It could be at a Dunkin' Donuts. It doesn't really matter where it is as long as both parties know where it is. Once again, you're not going to be able to text them, so plan now where it's going to be. I love the inside restaurants bar because your family and friends can be warm, they can be eating food, watching on the app, and then when you come in, your food is there and your drink is ready to enjoy the celebration, Coach Ben.
Yeah, and that guy's face says it all. That guy, all his pre-race planning has gone to perfection. His race was perfection. He knows his post-race is dialed in. He knows where he's going. That's that face of, I'm done. And the great thing is, on the TCS New York City Marathon app, there is a mat that you will cross as you exit the park at 72nd Street. So you brought up the frozen zone here, up there at 72nd Street. There'll be a time mat at the finish line, and then one as you exit the park. So again, your loved ones who are tracking you on your TCS New York City Marathon app, they have on their phone, available at the Apple or Android stores. They'll know when you cross that as you head down Central Park West to 63rd, or if you're heading directly out of 72nd Street. They know you've crossed it, so they know to prepare to watch for you to get you, so that your runner will feel like the gentleman in the last slide with a big grin on his face, not somebody who's walking through looking like the Walking Dead, trying to find their friends and family with legs that feel like the Tin Man. And more importantly, runners, when you come through that finish line, like Steve was saying, you have your hospital for special surgery recovery bag. Do not try or do everything in your power to not sit down. Obviously, if you're having a major medical condition or issue, we have our medical team out there to help you out. But if you're able to walk, as uncomfortable as it may seem, anybody, you finished a few marathons, Steve, in your day, I finished one as well, the last thing you want to do is walk. Keep moving, keep yourself going, because the minute you stop trying to restart that engine, you might as well be cranking up the old style forward with the car in the front, spinning that engine around, because you're going to feel like you're about 1,000 years old. Keep on walking, find your friends and family, go off into that good night. All the food you avoided for the last 2 or 3 days here in wonderful New York City, New York is now your buffet. Have at it, enjoy it, you've earned it. Have that bling on, because man, I don't know about you, Steve, I finished this marathon 5 times, and every single time feels like the first. Is an amazing feeling.
Love it. It's great, guys. And after that, you'll be a 2021 TCS New York City Marathon finishers. And the top 3 things to remember, like we said before, do not go out too fast, nothing new on race day, and do not race before the race. And we have some more questions and some more shout-outs. Let's get to those.
Bring it.
Shiplen writes in, Upper West Side, thank you so much for writing to us. Hopefully we can just finish at your house on Sunday, walk right there. Maria says, Boogie Down Bronx, cannot wait to run through your Boogie Down Bronx on tomorrow, Sunday. Thanks for writing in. Anna says, Uptown Harlem, look at that.
House, yeah.
Oh, man, we'll run through you tomorrow as well. We also have Jassy says, running with my Venezuelan flag. Thank you so much for joining us this year. Love it, enjoy it. Cesar is a first-time marathoner. Thank you so much. It's going to be a great time out there for you and a great adventure. Ken says, hi from Ireland. Ken, thank you for watching from over there. Yeah. And we also have Janita from Queens. Thank you so much for joining us today. And then we also have Diana from Gramercy next door. Thanks so much. All right, and Ben, I'll toss this first question to you. Stuart says, can I run with a belt for my keys and phone and some gel? So how do we carry everything?
Yeah, absolutely. If you have those waist belts, if you have it, whether it's with a hydration on there or ones that kind of the flappable ones that fold up and down. I know my wife runs with a run. She has her phone in there. She has her keys in there. Absolutely fine to run with something around your waist. It's a great way to keep everything together, because again, if you live here in the city, maybe you don't have a loved one, or maybe you're going directly home when you're done, knowing where those keys are, having those keys will be a benefit, because the last thing you want to do is get across the finish line and go, uh-oh, where is it? And maybe you left it somewhere else or it dropped out. So yeah, having that waist belt is just fine, along with your fuel, your gels, your phone. Just maybe make sure if your keys are in there, if there's a clip inside there, clip your keys inside something, because again, like I said, last thing you want to do is get to your apartment door, pat yourself down and realize that you got to trace back a few miles or find the super to let you into your apartment.
Not fun. Next question coming in from Victoria. Is there a specific ferry for marathoners or just regular ferries you need to take to Staten Island ferry station at your selected time? Really good question. So it is the general ferry. The ferry is also that same day open to people who are commuting back and work, for life. So it's a public ferry for everyone. You do not have to pay for it. Shout out if you are taking the MTA there. Make sure you fill your MTA card up today and fill it up enough for tomorrow's after the race as well. But the ferry is free. You're going to show up, get there a few minutes before your ferry time. So if it's a 6:15 ferry, similar to the buses, get there at 6:05. Once again, we want you there nice and early. Earlier is better tomorrow. If you miss your ferry, so if you're a 6:15 ferry, and I'm making up once again, you can get on the 6:30 ferry, the 6:45, whatever's next. And then the ferry ride's about 30 minutes long. Grab a seat, enjoy it. You can get up, take some photos, because you do see some cool sights of New York City. And then once you get off the ferry, you'll walk to the bus. Just follow all the crowds of people and follow the signs. There'll be buses lined up waiting for you to get on the next bus. Once again, masks are required on both of those transportations. Grab a seat on the bus. Enjoy it. It's about a 30, 45-minute ride to the Fort Wadsworth, where you'll relax as well. Coming in next, we have a question from Diana. I have honey stinger waffles and gels. Do you have any tips on fueling and hydration throughout the race, Coach Ben? Yeah, again, I mean, you've probably been practicing or training with those, so it's very important to keep in mind what you've been doing to this point, because Honey Stinger will be on the course at 12 and 18. If you've been training with it, then if you need to grab anything extra while you're out there, they will have gels. There will not be waffles or the protein bars, but if you need to grab a couple extra gels when you're out there, feel free to. In terms of what your hydration tips or training, or for your nutrition, stick with what you've been working with. You've trained your body to take these, take the fuel in and use it when you provide it. So making any kind of adjustments to that will, could possibly upset the GI tract. I made that mistake in my first marathon ever. I thought, hey, that orange looked really good over there on a hot day. And yeah, that orange did not feel so good coming back up a few miles later. So do not do that, please. It was not a pleasurable experience. My wife and son were waiting for me. They were not tracking me on the app, and I was well behind my predicted finish time, and they thought that I had keeled over. So again, stick with what you know. Nothing new on race day. If you've been taking your gels every mile, 2 miles, you're drinking water every mile or 2 miles, stick with it. You've trained your body to do that. You've trained your mind to be there.
stay with it, have a good race, and just go out there and have a good time.
And Ben did mention honey singer gels at mile 12 and 18. And if you're interested in those flavors, we have the following flavors along the course: mango orange, vanilla, strawberry kiwi, and that is a caffeinated one.
Okay.
And gold, and that's a generic kind of honey flavor that will be on the course for you. There'll be signage. They'll make sure, I think there's like different color shirts that people hand them out. So you will see those along the course. Once again, nothing new in race day, but those are out there for you. Next question we have Anna says, I'm in the green wave. Can I go to orange to run with friends? Yes, you can move back to colors as long as you're moving back. So assuming your friends have a higher crowd number, higher bib number, you can go back with them. So if you're green, I think it says there's orange. Orange, you can go to green as long as you're in wave 4 and they're in wave 5, making that up. You can move back, but no one can move forward in the race, even to find a pacer. Good question. Next one we have coming in is Abby. Can we bring a companion on the ferry, Coach Ben?
Yeah, no companions are allowed. We definitely want to get only the racers, the runners on the ferries. Again, the ferries seat a lot of people out there, and only runners will be allowed in Fort Wadsworth. You will have to show your bib to get on the ferries when you're in there. So again, they don't want companions coming along there, because once you exit the ferries, you'll have to get back onto a bus and queue it up. So again, your friends and family, let them know where on the course you're going to be. There'll be a few spots. If for those of you who are familiar with the New York City subway system, maybe have them say, get on this particular train. I'll see you on 4th Avenue, and they can get back on the train, make their way up to 1st Avenue if they want to cheer you on in multiple spots. But maybe if they want to commute with you down to South Ferry, that's fine, but they will not be able to get on the ferry with you. At that point, you'll be with some new friends, make some new friends on the ferry, and talk to them, enjoy, as Steve said, the great view. We do fall back tonight, so you will technically get an extra hour of sleep. I don't really know how that works. I never feel more rested on the first day.
Still exciting.
Yeah, it's an exciting day. So again, the sun, if you're on a ferry around 6 or 6:30, the sun will be coming up. You may get a beautiful sunrise at the Statue of Liberty if you're on that side of the ferry. But take it in, sit back, you'll have some new friends, and get to the fort and have a good time.
Next question we have coming in from Ree. How long is a bus ride to Midtown? Well, I think it's about 40 minutes or so, like that.
It depends on the traffic
40,
going out.
40, 90? Yeah,
I think from like the 4th and 5th, about 45 minutes to an hour.
The good thing about if you take the official NYRR transportation, you will get to your start time on time, probably early. So we do time those out properly. So even if once again you miss your first bus, take the next bus. We give you plenty of time to get the start line.
And fall asleep on that bus too. I always do. It feels
have your
good.
Breakfast or whatever it is. Yeah. Next question we have Anna. Can non-runners meet the finishers along Central Park West between 72nd and 66th? And where are the marathon photos after you finish and exit Central Park?
Yeah, there is the frozen zone. Steve has shown that before in the course strategy. In between 72nd and 63rd, that is a frozen zone. This is a runner's area, that blue area on the map. And not only does it also extends not only from Central Park West, but all the way over to Columbus. Runners cannot come across those. Those are for residents only. So again, anybody on this side, Columbus, Central Park West, this is a frozen zone, runners only. The NYPD is, they will not be nice to you that day. It's not their job. Everything is about safety at this point. Nobody will be able to come through. So again, you're meeting your family and friends. If they come out of 72nd Street, runners can head west across 72nd over towards Columbus, towards Broadway. They can meet you in that direction, or the runners will be coming down south on Central Park West, exiting 63rd, making the way to Columbus Circle. They can meet you down in those areas as well, but that area is frozen through there. I believe she had a secondary part of her question about the marathon photo.
Yeah,
right?
So marathon photo, I put a little circle here. They'll be on Central Park West between 71st and 72nd, or 70th and 71st? 70 and 71, so that's where you'll get your marathon photo. Hold up that medal, kind of like we saw that guy earlier walking, just bask in the glory of his achievements. So you'll see him out there. There'll be signs, and you'll see, you once again, don't even look for them, you will notice them, you'll find them out there.
They'll find you.
They'll find you, and they'll say, show me your bib, show me your medal.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Next, we have a question from Rachel. What is the last ferry time? I'm supposed to be on the 8:15 ferry, but my start time isn't until 11:20. We kind of went over this earlier, Rachel. I would recommend the 8:15 ferry. Don't wait for the last one. Once again, it's a 30-minute ferry ride. It's a 30 to 45-minute bus ride. You want to, so that's an hour, hour and a half right there. You want to, and then once again, to get through NYPD security can be about 20 minutes, depending how crowded it is and how they're checking everything. Then you're gonna maybe go to the bathroom. You gotta find your village. All that can take 10, 15 minutes, and that all adds up. So your ferry time actually, just from the quick math I just did, actually lines up with where I want you and how early I want you there. It's 35,000 people trying to get there. And once again, you need to also be in your corrals earlier than just 5 minutes beforehand because they do close. So you have to be in those corrals well before they close, which, as Ben said, they'll be announced over and over throughout the loudspeakers there. So I would take that ferry. There's no such thing as too early, but there is definitely a too late. Next, we have a question from Joe. What is the special medal? Will we get a special medal because it's the 50th?
Every medal special.
Every medal special.
Every
It
medal
is an
special.
amazing medal this year, guys.
It is big. If you've been to the expo, I've actually seen it, marathon photos, some of the finish line, the packages are selling. They actually had the medal in there. It is big. It is gold. It is beautiful. It is a special medal for sure. I mean, the runners who have worked hard to get here. I mean, 2020 felt like 14 years. We wanted to run this marathon last year. Unfortunately, that did not happen, but we are here in 2021 for the 50th running of the TCS New York City Marathon. The medal is amazing. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. It's 50. That is huge. The backside, you'll be able to get it engraved on Monday at the pavilion up by the finish line tavern on the green. You will be able to come back and get it with your name and your finishing time. So make sure you come back to the pavilion afterward to take the special medal that you have received, get it engraved. There'll be finisher's gear from New Balance there as well at the pavilion. So again, you want to pick up some swag to wear back home. You know, this is where you buy all the new stuff. This is where you get all the things that you've busted your buns for to memorialize, to remember all the work that you've done. Take that special medal. But yeah, it is a beautiful medal, very special. Unfortunately, I'm not getting one. Are you getting one tomorrow,
I'm
Steve?
not running tomorrow. I did my race today. We got to work for you guys. You know? We'll enjoy it. Next question we have coming in from Bella. I didn't choose any transportation to my village. I'm coming from Staten Island. How long is the walk from the drop-off intersection to the villages? When should I be dropped off for a noon start? So yeah, there is a transportation drop-off. I can't remember the exact names, but go to our website. It's the Start tab at nycmarathon.org. Lily Pond Ave and McLean Ave is actually the Google streets you want to type in, so that'll give you directions how to get there. As far as how long, it's going to be traffic too, so give yourself more time. There might be other vehicles dropping off. And how long of a walk is it? It's not a long walk once you get dropped off to the Start Village. Just keep in mind it might be traffic, so maybe will get out of the car early just for the half-mile walk because of the traffic. Keep that in mind, so give yourself plenty of time. And then for a noon start, you want to be there early. So you know, once again, it's like 10:30, 10:30, 11. You want to get there nice and early so you can get through that NYPD security, get in line for bathrooms if you need to, and then get in those corrals. So earlier the better is right for you, Bella. Good question, though. All right, I think, Ben, this might be our last one. If you have any further questions, put those in. But Aubrey says, what are the top 3 things we should do today to prepare? How about you give 1 or 2, and I'll give 1 or 2.
Okay, I'll try to give, I say 1, get off your feet. Try to give yourself as much rest and relaxation. Yeah, get those feet up in the air. If you're at a hotel, get on the bed, get your feet up, get some rest. If you're at home or say Airbnb here in Manhattan or anywhere in New York City, sit down. You know, watch some TV, read a book, just kind of close your eyes. Everything now, there's nothing that you can do that's going to help you, but there are some things you can do. I won't say hurt you, but maybe a bit detrimental to the energy level that you have tomorrow. So definitely get in, get your feet up, get some extra rest if you can. Nothing stressful, you know. Now is not the time to go sightsee. Now is not the time to go to the Met or MoMA, any one of the wonderful museums we have here in New York City. Save those for next week if you're staying. Yeah, you may be walking a little bit slower, but it's okay. You've already finished the marathon at this point. So yeah, get up your feet, get some rest, take it easy because you got a long journey ahead of you. Steve, what do you got?
Yeah, my 2 things I would say, get your gear laid out in advance. So you probably, if you're traveling, hopefully brought 1 or 2 options because you didn't know what the weather was going to be like last week when you packed. So figure out what you're going to wear. If you're local, nothing new in race day, so get those T-shirts, long sleeve shirt, T-shirt, whatever you're used to wearing, pair of shorts, capris, whatever, once again, you're used to wearing. Lay them out in your bed, get that bib on there, pin it on there. Make sure you have more than enough gels if you bring your own gels. So you know, get your bag ready to go so tomorrow morning you're not scrambling to get everything set up. And my final one, just have fun. It's going to be an amazing day. The stress needs to be off your shoulders. Write down what you can control and write down what you can't control. You're going to see the list of things you can control are actually a lot longer than the things you can't control. So things like weather, things like other people, things like transportation, you know, times when transportation leaves. You can't control those, but you can control what you wear. You can control your own race plan. You can control when you leave for the start. So all those things, once again, you can control. Write that whole list out. It's going to help the confidence. And also look back at your race long runs. Focus on those good long runs that went really well. Maybe a past race you did in training, a half marathon. Look at those splits. Remember how great you felt. And visualize yourself finishing the race. That's going to help you as well And sleep tonight is not super important. Hopefully you guys got some sleep the last few nights. If you are up tonight, going to the bathroom a lot, nervous, you get up early, it's okay. You don't need a lot of sleep tonight. The sleep came for the last few days. But that is it, Coach Ben. Thank you for joining us on the course strategy, guys. And good luck to everyone out there. And we'll see you at the finish line of the 2021 TCS New York City Marathon. If you missed today's chat, we'll do one more today at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So join us then, and we'll see you later.